So the first thing we need to do is create a new folder. So with content selected, right click in your content browser, new folder. I'm going to name mine main menu. Double click on this. Now I need to import my images that I made in Photoshop of the different buttons. So I'm just going to shift select and drag them in. So now we can get started making the main menu. So if I right click in my content browser, in my main menu folder, go to user interface, I'm going to create a widget blueprint. I'm going to name this main menu. If I double click on this, so now we're in our widget blueprint, we need to add our background. So if you go to palette in the top left, down to image, select it and drag it in. Just move this up to the top left here. Go to your details panel on the right, down to size to content, and check it, down to appearance, then down to brush, go to image, and then we're going to add our background. So now if we go back into our details, and then we need to go to anchors, and we're going to anchor it to the whole screen. And that's that done. So now we can add our buttons. Sorry, but first remember to lock your background. Now we can add our buttons. So if we go to palette in the top left, select button and drag that in. Go to your details panel on the right and select size to content again. So now you need to go down to appearance, select style, and you'll have three options: normal, hovered, and pressed. So these are going to be the different states of your button. So normal is what it will be when you first open the menu. Hovered is what the button will look like when you hover the mouse over it, and pressed is what the button will look like when you press it. So we'll start with normal, drop this down, change your image, so we need our start button. Change the margin here to 0. And that's that one done. Hovered, drop this down, go to image, and search for your start, hover. And again, change the margin to 0. And pressed, change the image, so start pressed. And then change the margin again to 0. So now we need to drag this where we want the start button to be. So around about in the middle. And then remember to anchor it to the middle. And that's that done. So now we need to blueprint these buttons. So when we press start, it starts our game. When we exit, it exits our game. And when we select controls, it takes us to a controls menu. So we'll start with start. We select our button, go to your details on the right, and then down to on clicked. So your events on clicked. So on when we press this button. So select the plus button. So this one's pretty easy. So on clicked, we're going to search for open level. And then we need to select our level name. This is case sensitive. So we'll get our level name. So minimize this. I'm just going to do the third person example map. You would need to do your level for your level. So I'm just going to copy and paste the name, so Control C, and go back to my main menu, and then just copy and paste it in here. So Control V, paste. So that's that one done. So we go back to our designer, and then we're going to select our exit button, go to details, and I'm going to select on clicked again. So we're going to search for execute console command. And then the command exit. So that's done. So if we compile and save, because now we need to create a new blank level for our main menu. So go to content browser, right click, and then select level. We're going to name this main menu. And then level. So we double click on this. So the first thing we're going to do, go to blueprints, open level blueprint. Don't need the event tick. So for off of event begin play, we're going to search for create widget. We need to select our widget, so it's main menu. And then off of return value, add to viewport. So when this level is opened, right at the start, it's going to create our main menu and add it to the viewport. So that's that done. Compile and save. So we now need to make sure our mouse or cursor shows up on the screen when we open up our main menu. So the first thing we need to do is go to our third person BP, blueprint, and duplicate our third person game mode. If you right click on it, duplicate, we'll name this main menu mode. And we need to create a player controller. As well, so if you right click, go to blueprint class and select player controller and name this main menu control. Shift select both of these and just drag them to your main menu folder and select move here. So now if we go to the right and go to world settings, if you haven't got this here, go to window at the top left and select world settings. So if world settings selected, go to game mode override and select your main menu mode. Don't need a default pawn class. Don't need the HUD, but we need to change player controller to our main menu control. Now, this won't work yet, so we need to go into our player controller. So double click on this, and then all we need to do is go to details on the right, down to mouse interface, and select show mouse cursor, and check it. So compile and save. So if we test this, we go to play. I'm going to click start, open up our level, play again. If you press exit, it'll exit. If we click play again, we select controls, nothing will happen. So we need to set this up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to right click, go down to user interface, I'm going to create another widget. I'll name this control. Double click on this. So now we're in our widget blueprint. We need to add the image that shows what our controls are in the game. So we go to palette in the top left, select image and drag that in. I'm going to do the same thing. We drag it up in the top left hand corner, select size to content, go down to appearance, and then select your image. So, command controls, you can see it's just got a simple, very simple design. And then we need to go to details again, and then we need to anchor it to the whole size of the screen. And then remember to lock your layer. So we now need to add a back button so it takes us back to our main menu. So go to palette, button, and drag that in. Again, go to details, size to content, then go to appearance, style, and then we're going to choose our normal. So select back. It's going to move this where it needs to be. Change the margin to 0. Go to your hovered. So back hover, margin to 0, and then pressed, and then back pressed. Change to 0. Now remember to anchor it in the bottom left hand of the screen. So now we need to do the blueprint of this button. So go to your details on the right, and then select on clicked. So what we need to do is open our main menu level. So open level, it's going to be our main menu. So remember this is case sensitive, so get the name of your level, copy and paste it. And then we need to remove, search for remove from parent. So this will remove our current widget from the viewport. So this is this one done. We now need to do the button that's going to open our controls menu. So again, so if we exit this, go to our main menu, widget blueprint, select your controls button, go down to on clicked. We're going to do create widget. So this is going to be our controller widget. We're going to add this to the viewport. So for return value, add to viewport. And then we're going to go remove from parent. So this will remove the main menu widget from the screen. So compile and save. Click play. We select controls. Takes us to our controls menu. And we select back. Take us back to our main menu. So the final thing we need to do is make sure our buttons are always rendered on top of our backgrounds. So if we go back into our widget blueprints, all we need to do is select each button, go to the details panel, and set the Z order to 1. And for the second one, set to 1. And for the third one, again just set to 1. Go to your controller one, your controller widget, select your button, just set the Z order to 1. To create a pause menu, first thing we're going to do is right click, go to new folder, We're going to name this pause menu. We double click on this. We're going to create another widget. So if we right click, go to user interface and then widget blueprint. I'm going to name this pause menu. So we double click on this, it'll bring us into our widget blueprint. We don't need a background as we want it to be transparent, so it's going to show our current game in the background. So go to palette in the top left, select button and drag that in. So go to details, size to content, and then this is going to be our resume button, so it's going to bring us back into the game. So go to appearance, down to style, we'll do normal first. So search for resume, margin to 0, going to do hover, margin to 0 again, and then press is going to just be our pressed image. So move this into the middle. Go over there, and then remember we need to anchor it to the middle of the screen. That's the first one done. We're going to drag in another button, and this is going to be our exit button. So again, size to content, and then down to appearance, style, then normal. We're going to use exit. Margin to 0, hovered, exit hover, change the margin to 0 again, sorry, and then press just the pressed image, 0. So, drag this, line it up. And then remember to anchor it. So compile and save this. And then go into your character blueprint. You right click. I'm going to search for a key to pause the game. So I'll use P. So what we're going to do is when you press P, we want to pause the game. So set game paused. Just this one here. And those tick. So the set game paused is true. And when we pause the game, we want to create our widget. So our pause menu, we're going to add it to the viewport. And we want to make sure our mouse cursor shows up. So what we want to do is get our player controller. And we're going to search for set show mouse cursor. I'll do that again. Set show mouse cursor off the return value of our get player controller. I want to set that to true. So show mouse cursor is true. And that's that done for now. So if I test it, so if I run and jump in the air or something and click P, it'll bring up our menu, but nothing works at the moment. So we now need to make these buttons work. So if we go into our pause menu widget blueprint, we're going to select our resume key. Let's go down, and then on events, on clicked, what we want to do is remove the widget from parents, and we want to remove it from the screen. I'm going to right click, I'm going to get our play controller. We're going to search for set show mouse cursor. I'm going to leave it false. So what it's going to do when we click resume, it's going to remove our widget from the screen and then remove our mouse cursor as well. We go back into our designer, select our exit key. I'm going to do the same thing we did for our main menu. So go to details, on clicked, I'm going to search for execute console command, and then it's just exit. So we've compile and save this. Click play, pause the game, resume. That's because go back into our pause menu, select resume, go into graph, didn't set game paused false. I forgot to set the game pause to false, so it didn't unpause the game. So we compile and save, sorry. P, resume. That's it.